Welcome everyone to the Creativity Cocktail. Today is awesome. We got a fantastic doubleheader with the amazing Diane Nix. Diane, thank you for joining us in the Creativity Cocktail today. It is so awesome to have you with us. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here with you today.
That is awesome. Diane and I are part of an organization where the mantra and the mandate is to pay it forward. And so when I was talking to Diane about what we do on here on the Creativity Cocktail, and that we're really a podcast focused on anyone who's creative and anyone, which is mostly all human beings on the planet Earth, well, everyone who's creative and how we can make sure that they're using their creativity to their best. And I started to talk to Diane about what she does and how what she does can help us fuel our creativity and make sure our mind and our wellness is where it needs to be. And I was like, Diane, I got to have you on. And she so graciously has joined us and decided to join us. In all of these conversations, I always have to ask about how people are dealing with the pandemic. There will come a day in the future where I won't ask that. But right now it is. And so, Diane, so glad to have you on the podcast. Hope everything is going well. And I hope you are able to get through our pandemic time here as effectively as possible.
Thank you so much I'm really honored to be here with you, Winston. It's just such an honor to share and to talk about wellness, but how it has such a big impact on creativity. And I really, if I'm thinking about the pandemic and what's been going on in my world, it's a lot. I mean, you think about during these times, I've actually adopted better habits.
Yes.
I think all of us have adopted some better habits in terms of washing our hands more frequently, maybe getting some more restful sleep, things like that. But the reality is, there's just so difficult when we have family members who are in the hospital. My mom got COVID. She's 93 years old.
Ooh.
Now, thank goodness she didn't really have any symptoms. So I was really lucky, and God blessed us that she's actually, this week just got her first vaccine.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm really excited about that. My father-in-law was in the hospital too, and I've heard so many people that have lost their family members, and, it's just such a tough time. But it's also a time when we can really try to improve our mindset.
Yes.
And really help us so that we can get those creative juices flowing.
That's right. I tell you, the pandemic has been extremely challenging for many people. Right now, as we speak, my good friend of mine, who we're both in the same men's group at my church, he is laying to rest his dad from COVID. 3 weeks earlier, he laid to rest his brother from COVID. So he is going through it, and he actually inspires people by going to the hospital. He's a chaplain at hospitals and helping people who go or are going through this difficult time. And it's so challenging for so many of us. The person we had on our podcast most recently, she had COVID. My own brother had COVID. It's just, to me, it seems like, I don't want to say everyone, but it seems like by the time it's over, all of us will have known many people who have been impacted by it.
Mm-hmm.
So glad to have you here. I hope your mom recovers well. I've heard that men have more of a challenge with COVID than women, so I hope that she continues to do well. You said something in there when you were talking about wellness that I want to help to kick off our conversation. And you were talking about how people have more healthy habits, and this will link to who you are. And one of the things you said that I've adopted, and hopefully you can talk more about it, and I think you've talked about this to other people, is basic stuff like drinking more water.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So talk about that, because that's a thing I used to resist it, and now it's a thing that I really, really love. I drink my 2 bottles of my thing here. I think it's a gallon a day of it.
Oh, good.
So tell us about that.
Well, we don't realize, but our bodies lose like 96 ounces of water a day. That's a lot. So we recommend that people drink at least 64 ounces. That's 8 ounce glasses of water a day. And or even 1/2 of your body weight in ounces of water is what you really need to replenish your supply. Not only is it important for all of your organs that you're continuously, keeping your body hydrated, but it's also important for even, weight loss. You can actually lose weight by making sure you get your water in. I mean, I always carry my water bottle with me wherever I go. I've got to have my water
I got
here.
to get mine too. Hang on, keep talking.
Yeah. So, it has such good benefits for you. And not only helps your skin, especially during these times. And when you're especially active, if you're walking, if you're running, doing a lot of exercise, you even need your extra water. Good
That's
for
right.
you. Yay. I love it.
I tell you, I've shared with many people that I've been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and the habit of drinking water over the last few months that I've started to really do that. It's all of the effects that you mentioned are real, and I feel those all the time, especially the ones around my skin and all that stuff. Um,
Mhm.
but my actual MS symptoms aren't as prevalent as the times where I'm not following that, when I'm not drinking
Hmm.
my gallon a day. And I can feel it. My little pain that I have in my shoulder is more
Mhm.
pronounced on those days when I don't have it. And so
Mm.
water is an amazing thing. Tell us a little bit about you as a wellness coach and how you got involved in that.
Okay. Well, it's a little long story, but I'll try to shorten it up. So I back actually in 1980s when I was starting my HR corporate career, and I did my first mission statement. And in that, I wrote it was a Stephen Covey mission statement. I knew that my passion was about developing people, and that meant developing business leaders, the HR team, the employees, um, the organization for the future. And in 2018, I was laid off. I was in job search for over a year, and I heard this voice. God came to me and said, "It's time for you to pivot how you help other people." And so I started looking around and looking at the world, and that 72% of the population is either obese or overweight, that over 69% of workers are stressed about their finances, and over half of those people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, this last year, so many people feeling isolated that there's this need. And so I joined a company, and our mission is to help the world get healthier, one healthy habit at a time. So that's healthy mind, healthy body, and healthy finances.
Wow.
And, I meet people where they're at and where they're hurting to partner with them in a proven program that's simple and it works.
Wow. I get a sense from what you shared there. All those stats you said are very alarming,
Hmm.
but they're also very real. And the one that they all stood out to me, but one that stood out to me the most is when you started to talk about the isolationism that we are all feeling.
Hmm.
One of the things that we as human beings love probably the most is spending time with other human beings. And this scenario here, this is just my opinion. I'm not a, I'm not trained in this, but I would say that my opinion is that we're going through a psychological trauma.
Hmm.
We just all are collectively together.
Hmm.
And so I am so glad that we're having like conversations like this. It's not the same as if we were in a room doing it, but it's
Hmm.
close. It's better than being isolated. There's a reason why they
Hmm.
put prisoners in solitary confinement.
Hmm.
There is
Yeah.
no doubt about that.
I mean, you think of even of the homeschooling and the kids not being able to play with their other friends and not being able to. I mean, it's everywhere. It's every age, every part of our um, world.
Yeah, that makes me think. I have a niece that's 4 years old. And can you think about when we were 4 years old and how many people we were playing with and all of the stuff that we were doing? And half of her pre-K life has been in isolation.
Ah, wow.
That, I don't know what that affects or what the compounding, cascading effects, but I do know that your brain does a lot of development when you're at that age, between 4 or 6 years old. There's a lot of wiring going on in some,
Hmm.
and her and all of the other kids. Um, I just worry about them, not just them, but us. Like you and
Right.
I, we've been used to
Yeah.
going. We've used to going to stadiums and to
Hmm.
concerts
Hmm.
and to movie theaters. We're used to doing all of that, and for us to not do it, we are going through a solitary isolationism. So, what are some things that people can do to help themselves with their mental and physical well-being these days?
Okay. Well, let me start with physical health and I mean mental health. I think because that's so important, especially when you're talking about creativity and how that can help us really get to a place where we're more creative and letting those creative juices flowing. Um, so there's four main areas that I want to cover, and they're actually I'll cover them in a little bit more detail. But to start with, there's structure and focus. They are priority management, guilt-free playtime, and giving yourself grace. So we're going to start with structure and focus just for a minute. And if you think about research tells us that there are two main things that give us the most stress and the most anxiety in our life. And those are things like the first one is having too many things to do and no set time to do it. So what ends up happening is we tend to just keep those 600,000 thoughts that are swirling around in our head just over and over and over until we can write it down. So structure is actually just putting it on a list, putting it in your calendar, and then that thought is not continuing to swirl in your mind.
Can I add one
So
thing here? I was just going
go
to
ahead.
I was going to give myself a shameless plug. I've started a program called Time Buster Tools, which there are
Hmm.
videos associated with that. And I walk people through how to do that because I have been doing this for 20 some odd years. And people always say to me, Winston, how do you get all of that done? And you got to have a system that does it. And technology, for example, in 2021, there are so many ways to actually be able to get yourself help to do it. When you and I started to do it, it was all pad and pen on a piece of paper or a notebook. That was the only way to get ourselves organized. Now, these days, you can talk yourself into prioritization and structure. You can
Hmm.
tell your smart speaker, hey, I want to do this every Wednesday at X hour, and it'll do that for you. So Time Buster Tools, Winston shameless plug. Please check it out on YouTube and podcasts, etc. Go ahead, Diane. Please continue.
Absolutely. I love it, Winston. I think that's great. Time Buster tools are the best.
Yes.
And I hope everybody takes a minute to actually go out and check it out because
Yes.
it is
Yes.
great. I love it, love it, love it. And the second thing that causes a lot of stress is that um, we're we get distracted really easily. I mean, think about it. You know, you hear a ping. Oh, that's my phone. I gotta go. I gotta check it. Well, every time you get away from what you were working toward, or multitasking, which we think we're really good at, it takes you 15 minutes to get back to that original level of focus. And that is so difficult. You know, if we're really focused and we have what we call maybe power sessions or focus sessions where if I'm going to do this creative project, I really want to do it, turn all my notifications off and make sure I'm fully present and I'm not getting distracted.
That's awesome.
And
I was just going to say, I wrote an article recently called Notification or Not to Notification, like a playoff of to be or not to be. And I
I love
shared, and I shared with people like, hey, notifications are a killer in your time. You cannot be effective if your phone or your devices are pinging you all day. I love technology, but but I need to own the technology, not the technology own me. It can't be telling me what's going to happen in time that things are going to happen. I cannot have that going on at all. And it was interesting because when I put it out, they actually put a post of it on Instagram, which I'm not great at all. And I got a lot of response on, hey, people, I was talking to Lisa, hey, I did that because I didn't know it was such a time suck to sit there and look at notifications all day long. You can't be present in a conversation like this if your phone keeps pinging. You
absolutely.
just can't.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
number two. I, I,
Yeah. That's
I keep interrupting because this is awesome, Diane. I didn't know. I had no sense that we are going to go this way, but this is phenomenal. I hope people are really getting something out of it. So I thank you for all this you're sharing with us.
Oh, certainly, certainly. And that focus is a muscle, so you got to build on it. Like you said, you've got to work at it and start small, but build it up. Even if you do, one power session a day and build to 3 a day, hey, that's a muscle and you're building it.
That's right.
Yeah. And the second one is actually priority management. And I like to look at that in terms of instead of time management, but
Yeah.
priorities. What are the priorities that you have in your life? For example, my priorities tend to be around first faith, things like prayer, meditation, uh, helping others, volunteering, mentoring. Self care is number 2, exercise, doctor's appointments, eating healthy. 3 is family, like my family and friends. 4 is work or those creative projects I have, the planning time, the major assignments that I want to accomplish. Now, realistically, I don't spend 40 hours in faith, 30 hours in, um, you know, self care, like that. It's probably just the opposite. It's really.
Yeah.
But if you ask yourself, look at your schedule and say, okay, how does my schedule, does it reflect what my priorities are? And you need to really focus on structuring your life around what matters most.
Yeah. I would say that those things are key. For example, I have a time on my calendar and a ping that tells me this is my early morning time for me to get into scripture. And then I have another time that will say this is the time for me to journal, which is an important thing for me. Then another time where it'll ping and say this is time for me to exercise. And then there'll be another ping that says this is time for me to call my family member. And every single one of them, I've been known throughout my family as a person like people know when I'm gonna call them.
Oh,
Like some people know that, hey, this is my day where I get the call from Winston
I
because
love that.
because they are important to me.
Mm-hmm.
They are as, if not much more important than the stuff I got to do for my day work or my night
Mm.
work or my creative work. I've got to make sure the things that are important are the first things. I used to go through this value conversation, which is going back to like Stephen Covey's days,
Mm-hmm.
about what those things are valuable to me. And every time
Mm-hmm.
I would go through that with my team, it always landed on things like family at the top of it. So if it is, then what do you do for that? What is your master task goal in Stephen Covey language associated with your family? And I would tell you, a lot of times people didn't have one, or
Mm.
they didn't have one with their health. Like
Mm-hmm.
they'd like have this money goal or some other goal, and I was like, well, how do you get anything done? How are you going to get anything done if your health goes in the other direction?
Yeah.
Because if you're not healthy, you're going to stop what you're doing and take care of your health. So,
Uh-huh. You're not going to be able to help those around you,
that's right.
right?
That's right.
Yeah. So putting first things first and those big rocks
That's
into your
right.
schedule, just like you said. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Boy, you've got it going, Winston. I love it. Now, how
So,
about this one?
Keep
The
going.
third one is guilt-free playtime.
Oh, yes. This is my favorite.
Okay.
No, keep
Yeah.
going. That's
Okay. Because
awesome.
guilt-free playtime, if you think about, just um, how much more productive are you? Is it before a vacation or after a vacation? In a lot of cases, you'll get a lot more done right before a vacation because you just don't want to worry about it. You want to make sure your mind is there, but you've got something good to look at. You've got something that you're looking forward to. So let's say you had this power session and you're thinking, oh, but my reward is going to be, I'm going to go get me a cup of hot tea. I'm going to sit down and just meditate for 10 minutes and I'm going to relax. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And I'm going to make sure I get focused and get this thing done. So I know there's a reward there afterwards. But,
What's your guilty free then? What's your thing?
well, it is watching something funny. So, like some good news or something that makes me laugh
Okay.
is is something I enjoy. Fishing, I love to
Oh,
fish. So
fishing.
that's another
Okay.
hobby that I enjoy. Exercise, I enjoy exercise. It makes me feel better. And I want to make sure I spend time doing that. But like even a cup of tea sometime in the afternoon, I'll say, okay, if I can get this done now, then I'll have enough time to just go relax and rest for a little bit. Take a break.
That is cool. That's one I always wanted. I've heard it's so calming, fishing, that I've never
Mhm.
been. And maybe it's because I grew up in a city, in New York City, and I just like fishing where. But but I always say to myself like that. That would be something that I would love. When I was young, we did a fishing trip out on the south shore of Long Island. That was not fishing because we were all in a big giant boat with like 50
Oh,
people around a boat trying to put a little pole out. I was like, I don't think this is what fishing is. I don't think that. I don't think that's what they mean by fishing. So, so
but it is. It is.
I,
A different way.
I always get the sense of like somebody out in their boat and they're there with their thoughts and they got their pole out and they were just waiting for it and that can take hours and hours. Like I have a friend that one time I went out with him to do hunting out in
Mhm.
Kansas, and he has this big
Yeah.
property, and in the back of his property is hunting. So we went out and we put on all of the attire that you need to do hunting, and we went up, got up in the post or in the tree, which that's a whole story in of itself to get, to get up in the tree. And then we sat in there for maybe I would say 6 hours or so, and he was so silent. He didn't move a bit, Diane. And the whole time I was thinking to myself, man, do I have to use the bathroom? Like, the whole time that was happening. I was like, but
And you're up in a tree on top of that.
that's right. We didn't get anything because nothing came across the view
Oh.
for him to shoot at. But I just love what you said about that. That is great stuff.
Yeah, but when you can get that guilt-free playtime and you get that rest and relaxation, that's really when your creative thoughts can really flourish. So building that in to make sure you have that time to just, be more creative is so important.
And there's a way to connect the two. So, for example, when it's warm enough, I go and walk by a trail near my home.
Mhm.
To what you just said, 100% of the time when I'm walking, I get a new idea about something. Whether it's a new story, a new podcast, a new business idea, it's 100% of the time it's going to happen. So in the past, I would just let it go and say, well, it'll come back to me later. But now I use a smart speaker to capture it is. I don't care if people to see me talking to myself. They don't know if I'm talking to myself. I'll just say, hey, smart speaker, capture an idea about this. So I'm being productive at the same time I'm having my guilty pleasure at the same time.
I love it. That's so great.
Yeah,
You're capturing your thoughts as you go. I
that's
love it. Good for you. Gosh. And then the last one is actually giving yourself grace. We don't realize, but we think it's selfish if we take care of ourselves first. But the reality is, if we really are there for our family and those who need us, we need to take care of ourselves and we need to give ourselves grace. If we're overtired or if we're depressed or if we're not feeling good, we're not really there to help those that we love. So we have to take care of ourselves like we are that golden goose that lays the golden eggs,
That's
right?
exactly right. I recently wrote something about investment because one of the things I love to do most in life is to do public speaking. If I could do that all day long, that's just the best job in the world. But I invested in myself. I said, all right, there's a Toastmasters group part of
Mhm.
my day gig in Michigan. We're all remote, so why not just join that and have a blast? And every single time I'm on it, I'm doing my talking and going on. I said, I should invest in myself because if I'm going to be a public speaker, which I am, and I'm going to continue to be awesome at it, I got to continue to hone my craft. Um, and back to your point about investing, and that comes with exercise and eating right. I shared with you that I haven't had anything to consume. I've changed my diet quite a bit since 6 months. Uh,
Mhm.
I haven't had any alcoholic beverages, that kind of thing. I did want to ask you a question
Mhm.
that I think you've answered this, and I think I've heard it somewhere else. When we get older, right? When we get into our 40s and 50s, why is it harder for us to lose weight? I exercise 5 times, 7 times a week now, and for me to lose weight, and for my son who's 22 to lose weight, all he got to do is work out twice a week, and he's good.
And he
Like,
probably eats like a horse
he
too.
eats twice as much as I do, and he's just like going around doing his thing. And if I eat anything that looks like sugar, I got 2 pounds. And so why is it so difficult for us when we get older? What happens?
Oh, well, actually, between the ages of 20 and 40, we lose 1 pound of muscle every year. Now, that 1 pound of muscle equates to 70 calories per day. So if you think about from the age, if you ate the same thing at 20 that you ate at 40, there's 1,400 calories per day that you're not expending. So that leads to fat accumulation. And if you think about it, from age 40 to age 80, we lose about another 40% muscle mass. So that's less calories that we need to be eating, even. So portion size is real important as you get older. Make sure you are eating less, because we can't outrun the fork unless you're a major athlete. Yeah, you can outrun the fork because you're really working hard. But yeah.
You can't outrun the fork. I don't know. I don't know if you trademark that or whatever, but you should because that is a key thing there. Um, I think I knew that intuitively. So when I turned 40, which was some time ago, I started to pick up what I used to do when I was younger, and that was a lot of weightlifting.
Mm,
But as time has gone on, I realized that I need to still do it, but I can't do it in those sessions that I used to do when I was even 40 years old, where I would go
mm,
and spend 2 hours at the gym doing that. And that in combination with my condition, I think would be too much for me. But I still have to
mm,
do it. And I did not know what you just stated between 50 and 80 that it continues to deteriorate even further.
mhm.
I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So if we can't go to the gym or do a normal exercise like swim or go to the YMCA, we're all hampered. A lot of people are sedentary these days with the coronavirus. What are some other things that we can do to keep ourselves active?
That's a great question, Winston. And it's what we call NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And that's just a big word that means how you can expend energy.
Yeah.
But you can do these activities just in your day-to-day living. And they're what we call the 6 S's of success. But those 6 S's actually can help you expend another 100 to 200 calories per day. So they're simple things. Like the first one is really just stance. If you're in your chair sitting, and if you're sitting up straight, sucking in your core, you can expend more energy than if you're slouching and just letting it all hang out.
Let me try it. Let me try it. Whew. It's not as easy as you think, especially the core part.
And then the second one is standing. So you may not realize right now, but I'm standing up. It gives me more energy. I'm weight bearing. I'm actually burning more calories than if I was sitting in my chair.
Do you have like one of those standing desks? Is that what you've got there in front of you?
Yeah, I have my laptop raised right now, right?
Oh,
So that I'm, it's above here, but then I can, move my desk down where I'm sitting.
ah,
But I do like to stand up. It gives me that extra energy, and I'm burning some more calories too. So
that's
that's always helpful. The third one is strolling, getting in your 10,000 steps. If you don't walk at all, you just want to work up to that. But the fourth one is stairs. We don't realize, but taking the stairs is equal to 100 steps. So take the stairs when you can. Samba, I love that one because that's when we can dance. Even if you're cooking in the kitchen or you're washing dishes, you can still get some movement in
that's
and
awesome.
have fun.
Yeah, the stairs one that's interesting because my office used to be downstairs, and I moved it up to upstairs because I wanted more light. Um, but now I make a conscious effort to go downstairs just to do it, and my little trusty watch thingy will tell me how many flights of stairs I'm walking per day. And I said, I feel like a good day, at least that I've seen, has been like 5 flights of steps. I don't know what a good day is or not, but 5 flights of steps to me is a lot. And I've never been able to get to the 10,000 steps in the house. Like
Yeah.
when I'm here doing day stuff. When it gets nice outside and be able to walk the trail, I can walk
Hmm.
3 miles or so. I got a greater shot at doing it. The most I've ever done in the house, Diane, is like 6,000 steps, which is a lot of walking around your house, I think.
That's good. That's really good.
So you mentioned portion control. Talk more about that for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really important that we uh, look at how much lean protein we're eating, how much um, healthy vegetables we're eating, because if you look at the American diet today, uh, I remember going to this restaurant in Texas, and the country fried chicken steak that my husband ordered was the entire size of the plate.
Oh my goodness.
And portion size, they've gone out of this world. It's crazy. And a lot of just the American diet, they've built in, supersize this and big this, and we just didn't think about it. But all of that is making us tend to add on weight and more calories and more weight, and just not healthy.
Yeah.
So really looking at our portion size is so critical, and just even the age thing we talked about. As we get older, limiting the amount of food that we have, but eating regularly throughout the day to keep your body fueled and to keep your glycemic levels even throughout the day is so critical and so important too.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard this. This seems to be anecdotal about um, the coronavirus and how it's impacted Americans, and we do have a tendency to be more obese and overweight, like you were mentioning earlier.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know if that plays into it, but I think I read somewhere that sometimes by having more weight, we might be more susceptible to things like viruses. Um,
Hmm.
I
That's
don't know.
true.
I don't know if you've heard that science as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I mean, um, because it lowers your immune system. So on top of that, you're more susceptible to getting some of those viruses if you have uh, the obesity is one of the um, you know symptoms that could really lead to you being more able to get COVID. Yeah.
Wow. It's that one was tough when I heard it because at first I heard it and it was just like somebody was just spouting it off, and then I kept hearing it, and sometimes when you
Hmm.
keep hearing things, you say, well, maybe there's some validity to that,
Hmm.
and that's probably even a more of a reason for us to get healthy as possible. On top of the fact that you can't get stuff done if you're not healthy, so you,
That's right.
you can't, you just can't,
Uh-uh.
you just can't do it.
Can't play
Going,
with your grandkids. You can't run around. Yeah.
you just can't do things if you're not healthy. You feel horrible. right? Your
Mhm.
digestive system doesn't work so fantastic if you're not healthy.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's something you comment on, but all I know is that when I've changed my diet recently, just the way that I do deal with food and the way I feel internally just feels so much better than it was when I was eating a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of
Mhm.
meat and stuff like that, and pork and all those kind of things.
Yeah. Food can impact everything about how you react to life. Your mind, your body. If you think about high saturated fatty foods, can impact even your brain and how you think. So it can kind of dull the senses. So eating properly is just amazing. How much more creative, how much more healthy you are, and how much you feel better, look better, and just everything. Your mindset is so much better. It has a huge impact.
That is so true. I've seen some things about how the high fructose that we have and a lot of stuff that we have,
Mhm,
how that has a detrimental effect on our brain patterns. And it
mhm,
creates so much, almost an addictive response, like you would if you were addicted to some kind of drug. That if you don't,
mhm,
your sugar, your body reacts in kind of ways, and your mind will react in certain kind of ways as well.
mhm. I mean, you take the donuts or something that's really high sugar, uh, and it will actually make you want to eat more
Yeah.
because it gives you that addictive feeling.
Yeah, I read somewhere that the body, and I don't know, you might be able to help with this, that the body processes sugar first, right? So if you've got a bunch of sugar in you all the time, it won't get to the
Mhm.
nutritional stuff that you ate or that you had to eat. It'll be
Uh-huh.
trying at the same time creating this chemical reaction telling you want more sugar, as
Uh-huh.
opposed to you ever getting to the nutrients in your body, and they may not be as effective as they can be.
You're exactly right. That's right. So it almost creates like a hormone because it wants you to eat more. And it gives you more cravings for more food. And you might have just gotten finished eating a big, huge dinner, let's say. But then, how is it that people and then they want popcorn or they want something else right immediately because they maybe had the wrong types of food that
That's
they were eating.
That's right. Earlier, while you were talking, I shared something here that you were involved in, and that is this Healthy for Life group on
Mhm.
Facebook. Can you talk
Uh-huh.
to the audience about that real quick?
Yeah, this is a private Facebook group that we have that really has a lot of healthy tips, resources, and recipes. It's some great recipes about healthy living in terms of our 6 macro habits that we talk about, which is everything from healthy weight management, healthy eating and hydration, healthy surroundings, healthy sleep, healthy mindset, and healthy motion. So, we cover all of those in this Facebook page. So, if you're interested, let me know. Just ping me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Diane Nix, and I'd be glad to invite you to that Facebook group.
That is awesome. All those things you just said are like their own podcast. Like all six of those things, like the healthy environment. And I was as I was hearing you share those, I was like, oh my gosh, those are their own stories in everybody's
Mhm,
life that's out there. So
mhm,
you've shared some amazing things today. I think that personally, this conversation can go on for hours and hours and hours because there's so much that we all need to learn about how to be healthy mentally and physically. So it's been phenomenal to have you. Do you have any insights that you want to share with the audience there? Keep in mind that our audience, we're getting close to 2 years with the Creativity Cocktail, and our audience is all over the planet Earth. And
Love it.
so we've got people as far away as India and China who listen to our podcast. So, what is there anything you want to incite or impart to our team, our audience today about, hey, how do you keep healthy? How do you keep yourself right? How do you keep going? What do you start with if you haven't started? What are some of the thoughts there around that for our
Well,
people?
I think starting small. I mean, but start and get into action. Think about, I mean, and one of the exercises that I love to do is Dream just a little bit. It's January 1st, 2022. What is the one thing you did this year to be more healthy? What is the one thing you did this year to have better finances? What is the one thing you did this year to get more exercise in and to create a healthier mindset? Just dreaming and thinking about, what was this year, and then you can you've kind of built that vision, and you can be inspired to make it happen and take some action.
That is awesome. Uh, Everyone has a vision in their life, or they should. Because if you don't have a vision, like you just described, the world will make one for you. There'll be other people who will dictate your own vision in your own life. If you don't do what you just described there and say, this is what I want January 2022 to look like. If you don't do that, somebody's going to do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And my view, and this is Winston's philosophical musings, is that we live in a great time in the world. Pandemic is horrible. Well, we live in the greatest country that's ever been created in the history of mankind. A country where you and I can get up tomorrow and go, we don't want to do any of the stuff we did yesterday. We want to totally do something else and just start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. In the history of humankind, if people did that 500 years ago, it would be off with their heads. They couldn't just do it that way. And so that is incumbent on everybody who's listening to us talk today, that they should live the life that they want. Your time is your life.
Yeah, just like you say in your website.
Yeah.
Are you excited about the future? Because you are the masterpiece. You paint the masterpiece of your life.
That's right. Yeah. God has made us all as masterpieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what he also told us is that keep painting. Keep putting brush strokes on that masterpiece every single day. Because I created you to continue to create beauty of what I've created. And part of those masterpieces and those brush strokes is spending time and helping other people.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is that.
Mm-hmm.
And not taking, but giving yourself. So this has been phenomenal. You are wonderful, Diane. I'm so thankful to you for joining us at the Creativity Cocktail. I know when I first reached out to you and I said, Diane, you would be awesome on it, you were like, Winston, what is that?
I'm so honored. Thank you.
So great. Is there any way, you mentioned about the Facebook group as far as a way to contact you? Is there anything else the audience should look at as far as if they want to reach out to you or connect with you?
Well, it's really just Diane Nix on LinkedIn or Facebook. I also offer a free Healthy Tips newsletter that I'd love to send to you if you're interested. And I've got a lot of options. I mean, healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances. If that's something on your mind for 2021, I'd love to have a personalized health assessment with you in a 30-minute call. So it's just that simple.
That's awesome. For everyone that's out there, please, I am imploring you that if you want to have any of those things in your life change, is that you spend some time and you reach out to Diane. It's been so amazing to have you. Creativity Cocktail is every time we talk to a guest, we just go one more level. And you've helped us with that today. So this has been awesome. I will ask you, I hope that at some point in the future you would love to, or you would be okay with coming back and sharing more with our audience. We'd love to have you in the future. Come back.
Absolutely. It's been an honor. This has been so much fun. Thanks, Winston.
Awesome. And for those of you who are out there, those of you who joined our YouTube session today, hopefully you had a lot of fun. But for those of you who've seen this on Apple and Spotify and all the other good platforms, please make sure you subscribe. That helps us to make sure that more people get to hear the Creativity Cocktail, which is phenomenal. And also it allows us to know what's on your mind. So what is your creative thoughts for this year? What are you up to? What's the next thing that you're writing in your masterpiece? What's the next thing that you're doing in order to be awesome? So Diane, have a great day. Everybody else out there, make sure that you continue to paint your brushstroke, and your time is your life. Take care.
Thank you.